June 17, 1972. Washington, D.C. was quiet. Most Americans were asleep. But inside the luxurious Watergate Complex, a political operation was unfolding that would soon become one of the greatest scandals in American history. At 2:30 in the morning, security guard Frank Wills noticed something unusual. A piece of tape had been placed over a door latch in the building, preventing the door from locking properly. Wills removed the tape and continued his patrol. Minutes later, he returned and saw that the tape had been placed back on the door. Suspicious, he immediately called the police. When officers entered the building, they discovered 5 men hiding inside the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee. The burglars carried cameras, lock-picking tools, cash, and sophisticated wiretapping equipment. At first glance, it appeared to be an ordinary burglary. But investigators quickly realized this break-in was something far more dangerous.
The men arrested that night were later identified as James McCord, Bernard Barker, Virgilio Gonzalez, Eugenio Martinez, and Frank Sturgis. One of them, James McCord, immediately drew attention because he was connected to the Committee to Re-elect the President, widely mocked by critics as CREEP, the campaign organization supporting President Richard Nixon. At the time, Nixon was preparing for the 1972 presidential election. Publicly, he appeared extremely strong politically. His foreign policy successes, especially with the Soviet Union and China, had made him popular with many Americans. Few people imagined that a burglary inside an office building could threaten his presidency. Initially, the White House dismissed the incident as a minor political distraction. Nixon himself publicly denied any involvement. On June 22, 1972, only 5 days after the break-in, Nixon told the American people that nobody in the White House staff was involved in the incident.
But behind the scenes, panic was spreading. Inside the administration, senior officials were desperately trying to contain the investigation. Secret payments were arranged to keep the burglars silent, evidence was hidden, investigators were pressured. And slowly, a cover-up began taking shape at the highest levels of the American government. Then, 2 young journalists from the Washington Post started asking dangerous questions. Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein refused to believe the break-in was random. Working late nights, chasing leads, and interviewing secret sources, they slowly uncovered links between the burglars and Nixon's re-election campaign. Their reporting shocked the country. As the investigation expanded, one secret source became critical to the journalists' work. Known only by the mysterious nickname Deep Throat, the informant secretly guided Woodward toward key evidence and encouraged the reporters to follow the money. For more than 30 years, Deep Throat's real identity remained one of America's greatest journalistic mysteries. Then, on October 20th, 1973, the situation became even more dramatic during an event now remembered as the Saturday Night Massacre. Nixon ordered Attorney General Elliot Richardson to fire Archibald Cox. Richardson refused and resigned immediately. Deputy Attorney General William Ruckelshaus also refused and resigned. Finally, Solicitor General Robert Bork carried out Nixon's order and dismissed Cox. The American public was stunned. Trust in the presidency began collapsing rapidly. Despite Nixon's efforts, pressure continued mounting. In July 1974, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled unanimously in the case of United States versus Nixon that the president had to release the Oval Office tapes. Nixon had no choice. When the recordings became public, one tape proved devastating. Known as the smoking gun tape, recorded on June 23, 1972, it revealed that Nixon had discussed plans to block the FBI investigation only 6 days after the Watergate break-in. The tape destroyed Nixon's remaining political support. Members of his own Republican Party informed him that impeachment and removal from office were now inevitable.
On the evening of August 8, 1974, Richard Nixon addressed the nation from the Oval Office. In a calm but emotional speech, he announced that he would resign as President of the United States, effective noon the following day. On August 9, 1974, Nixon and his family boarded a helicopter on the White House lawn. Before entering, he turned toward the cameras, raised both arms in his signature gesture, and disappeared from the presidency forever. Vice President Gerald Ford was sworn in as the new president only hours later. 1 month afterward, on September 8, 1974, Ford granted Nixon a full presidential pardon for any crimes he may have committed while in office, a decision that remains controversial even today. The Watergate scandal permanently changed American politics. It weakened public trust in government, strengthened investigative journalism, and introduced new laws designed to limit abuses of presidential power. More importantly, Watergate proved something that changed America forever. Not even the President of the United States was above the law.
If you found this information helpful, please hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Have a great day.